mama. Agua nile mai mai. A comanchere, mami. Agua nile mai mai. Agua nile mai mai.
Welcome to San Miguel TV. So I'm gonna do this video about the story. This happened in Detroit just a few days ago, on July 12th, I believe. And we have officers that show up to a location where they have a warrant for a dude who's suspected for a triple homicide. You can see this dude in the orange, his name is Hakeem Littleton. The cops weren't even coming to arrest him. They literally just pulled up on Hakeem's friend who had a warrant. Here he is in the orange. You can see him immediately reach for something right there and shoot at the police. And the police shoot back, justly, as they should, and shoot the man dead. The man kept shooting even after the cop got on top of him on the ground. Hakeem Littleton died, 20 years old, Detroit, Michigan. When people heard about this, they went crazy in Detroit. There was a protest immediately. It sparked outrage, as it always does, before people even hear the full story. And then the cops, the police department, had to release the body cam. This is the dash cam video. There it is. You can see him. You can see Hakeem Littleton reach in his pocket as soon as the cops pull up. They weren't coming there for him. He didn't have to even go through all that. This dude would have literally been able to just walk off. But look at him. He's reaching. As he reaches, he points at the cop right there, boom, and shoots at him. And then the cops shoot back. He falls to the ground. He's now still trying to shoot at that cop. And this cop had to literally get on top of him. Other cops had to shoot at this dude who, this guy, I mean, shot at cops for whatever reason. No reason to do that. There's no reason to shoot at these cops at this point. When they pull up, as you can see, they weren't there for him. They came for that dude who's on the ground with the white shirt for a triple homicide. He's gonna be gone for a minute. So you can see this is the body cam. You can see the dude literally pull out a gun, aim it at the officer, shoot at the officer. You can see the cops charging this guy who really they had nothing to do with him. He was the one that started reaching as the cops were pulling up. You don't reach when the cops are pulling up. Just keep your hands where they can see them. And then at that, you pull out a gun, aim it at a cop, shoot it. What do you expect, man? You're gonna get shot down. Your life is over at that point, and it's justified. People use the emotions behind this killing because it's emotional when you see somebody get shot dead. Regardless if he was in the wrong, it's gonna spark some emotion. I understand that. We have to be more logical, think logically rather than emotionally driven. Because what do you expect the cops to do? Get shot? Or just tackle him and risk being shot? Don't shoot at this dude? That's not realistic. That's not how the real world works. So, I mean, you still have people coming out there protesting. Let me see if I can find that video. This was after. This was after that shooting of Hakeem Littleton. You had people take to the streets. 8 people were arrested during this protest, which turned violent. And the cops got to do what they got to do. Once it gets violent, you see the task force, they come in there, they have to move in, separate the crowd, make sure people don't get hurt. Because there's a lot of emotion and anger out here. There's a lot of anger and emotion and ignorance and hatred in these protests, in these rallies that people have. These so-called peaceful protests that people go there angry and emotional, and they usually turn into some type of scuffle between the rioters or the protesters and the police, because some people are peacefully protesting, others get a little more violent. Sometimes they get in front of the cops' face, they're throwing stuff all over the place, throwing stuff at the cops. You know, there's a lot of civil and social unrest right now. People are uneasy. You know, it's very, very easy to emotionally get somebody's attention right now through emotions and racism. It seems like every day somebody's looking for the next racist story. It could be some mildly racist story of some white lady who posts something online about black people, you know, which is, she's entitled to her opinion, even if it's a stupid opinion. She's entitled to that. Words, you're not going to be prosecuted for your words, for saying something, unless you threaten somebody's life. That's just how it works. You have the freedom of speech. We have First Amendment rights. We have all types of rights in this country, and there's no law that you can find that discriminates on anybody based on race. We're past those days. We still have a lot of work to do, and there's still some hurdles to get over. And what people seem to always not understand is that the history of the world is messed up, not just America. This entire world was practicing slavery. And America was an innovator and one of the first to ban the owning of other human beings. So we always tend to forget that, even though we throw out all these, people love to just research the history of America, and it's like they're looking for something to make themselves angry. Constantly living in black and white photos of the civil rights and prior to the civil rights, you're gonna be angry. And then on top of that, you got the media constantly showing videos of people being shot by cops, and sometimes they don't give you the full story. You don't have the full story all the time, and what people are starting to do is just assume that the guy that got shot was innocent and the cop just did something unjust. That's the assumption right now, before the story even comes out. This is this happens constantly. You get some part of the story, you get outraged, and then when the whole entire story comes out, it's already too late. You're already outraged. People already protested and rioted, and it's like, you're just being emotionally led by every little story that has to do with any hint of racism. Sometimes it's not even there, and you look for it. But this is the story here in Detroit. The protests turned violent. The cops had to subdue some of these citizens, and 8 people were arrested. So that's him right there. That's Hakeem Littleton. And everybody's reporting it. Some people are saying it's just. Some people are saying it's not just. And I'm just confused at this point, because you could clearly see that the dude shot at the cops. I mean, look at it right there. He's literally aiming at the cops with a gun while cops are coming up on him. Nobody's aiming a gun at him at that point. still want to cry no justice, no peace. You just have a bias and you're just jumping on your team because you see a black man and you're tribal as hell. And that's what's going on nowadays. Everybody's so tribal they can't think logically.